You've clicked on this video because you're thinking about buying a D22 nav, whether it's a YD or a ZD. In this video, I'm going to be showing you all the things you need to check before buying that nav. I used to own an orange Navara. I'm probably going to be putting it on screen to the side of me here. But yeah, I used to own this Navara. This was a ZD30, so I know a thing or two about ZD30 navs. I'm also going to be giving you a price list as well at the end, a general price list for you guys to go home and sort of cross-check it with yourself and see if it's actually a viable option for you. If you guys would like another video about D40s, R51s, or D21s or D23s, let me know in the comment section. But I charged this light, I swear to God. Okay, section 1 is going to be a visual inspection for the body and chassis. You're going to walk around the car as you would. Now these cars are going to be a bit older. I think they went from 2003 to 2015. So look, visually look at the body. If there's cracks in, the paint, look, it is what it is. They're probably going to have some paint peeling. I'm not going to dive too deep into that because you're not going to get a D22 that's mint condition in terms of paint wise and body wise. But if there are big damages on the side or something like that, it's been forward driving probably. So it's a bit of an indication that that's the kind of life that that car has had. It's taken a fucking beating. In saying that, one of the issues that the navs did have, the D22s, is check the doors because the hinges did sag over time, and when you close them they do click like cluck cluck, which can be annoying. I had to fix 2 of my hinges on my orange nav. Now these cars run a torsion suspension setup, so what you want to check for is if they're wound all the way up. That means if the car's lifted a lot, because you can wind them up and you can adjust the suspension yourself. If they're winded all the way up, it's going to have a really hard ride, and it's probably going to be really ruining the control arms because they probably slam through the bump stops. So there's something to check for. And that also goes on to checking your suspension components. So checking shocks for leaks, checking the control arms for the upper ball joints, because mine tore when I had my nav, especially off-road, that big down travel, because all the D22 owners, they wind their the torsion bars all the way up so you can get max lift, and it's like a shit ride, and it ruins your ball joints and ruins your upper and lower control arms. So that's something to check on both YD and ZDs. Obviously you also check for things like drive shafts as well. These can be leaking, can be greasy, all that sort of thing. So that's just a general inspection of the vehicle, looking for grease leaks, looking for, bad bushes. These are all talking points that can get your total budget of spend of the car down. Okay, section 2 is really important. This is called a cold inspection. So before you start the car, make sure it's cold, make sure you can touch the engine. That's a really good sign. That's a positive sign that the owner hasn't, blasted the car heat, to avoid any rattles or noises that you might get. So before you start the car, you want to check for oil leaks around the rocket cover, injector seals on both YD and ZD. The turbo feed line, oil feed lines for the ZD especially do leak. The intercooler is very prone to leaking on the YD25, so check the intercooler and piping. If you have airbox sort of weepage issues, it could be a sign of turbo seals. Pretty obvious one is open the coolant and check the condition of the coolant. If it looks brand new, it could be a bad sign as well. If it looks like a pretty okay condition, that's a good sign. If it looks milky, obviously that's a shit sign. Don't buy that car. Another thing you want to check is oil condition. Do it when it's cold and when after you've started the vehicle. But yeah, checking oil level is really important. And that's a really bad thing as well, because the YDs have a really big issue with timing chains. I saw a lot in the D40s. I didn't own a YD D22, but I saw in the D40s, same engine, timing chain issues is huge. Especially for cars like around 200,000 Ks, they're usually due. So it's something to keep in mind. All right, one of the biggest issues I had in my D22, mine was a facelifted model, so mine was 2006 onwards, but the key barrel, and this was really annoying, so you'd have to like put it in and turn it a certain way, and it's just because of the key barrel is worn, or the key is worn. So that's something to check as well. You can get your price down. If you can't start the vehicle, they'll just be like, oh, you have to stick it in a bit harder. A bit sus. Okay, let's get on to the big one, the cold start. So obviously you want to test this car cold start. This is where you'll catch most of the issues. Is listen for rattles, all right? Could be tensioners, could be timing chain slab, could be a lot of things. Also on a cold start, if it is really hard to start, it could be a sign that your VP44 pump is fucked, which is very common on the ZDs. One of the biggest issues is the VP pump, the Bosch electromechanical pump. Basically, there's a module that sits on this mechanical pump, so it's an electric mechanical pump, and because it's so close to the engine bay, that just fries itself, and it doesn't know when to start, and it's like you have trouble starting. On the YDs, a ticking or a slap could mean like a stretch chain issue, so really listen carefully. If you can, get him to start the car and you listen to the engine. I mean, you can do vice versa, whatever. It's probably better if you bring somebody so that you know he's not bullshitting the start. All right, next section is test driving. So clutch and gears. We want to test every single gear. You also want to check your full drive. So make sure the front hubs lock because they're manually locking hubs. And you want to put it on 4 high and 4 low. Just make sure you do everything in neutral and stand still when you're changing gears. All right, now don't go on the highways in full drive, but if you're going around like the streets and that, you should be able to engage it, and you should be able to see on the dash that actually is fully engaged and locked in. All right, so something you need to test because you're obviously buying a 4-wheel drive. You want to make sure that the 4-wheel drive works. If you have any issues or you don't really know about 4-wheel drive engagement, let me know in the comments and I'll help you out. Yeah, you can have gearbox winds, you can have crunches. Just check. I think the most common crunch is from 1 to 2, 2 to 3. I would recommend doing a 2-wheel drive, highway drive as well, checking for rattles, checking for potential tail shaft, center bearing, rattle issues, vibrations as well. You can also check wheel bearings while on the highway. So yeah, those things are really important. Again, if you guys don't really know what any of those sounded like, you can let me know in the comments section. I'll reply as best as I can. So we've gone over the majority of the cold, the hot, everything like that. After you've come back from your drive, check the oil again. Don't check the coolant because you'll probably blow your fucking face off. Check your oil again. All right, make sure it's not too bad, it's good level. Again, just do an overall check for everything. Now, a lot of these older cars, they can have a lot of electrical spaghetti, I call it. All right, so we want to be checking that because that's a potential fire hazard as well. I know the YDs came with a dual start battery. The ZDs didn't, but yeah, this is another thing to check. Is all the electrical spaghetti. If it is just completely spaghettified, then I would suggest walking away because there's probably a lot of spaghetti under the dash. Last section we're going to be talking about is car pricing. All right, this is not really exactly, but I thought I would give a sort of a brief pricing point as to what you can expect to buy a nav these days for D22s. The market always fluctuates. Last year they were up like 10 grand, but now they're down a bit, like 5 grand. So let's go through it. So number one, a clean car. All right, so if everything checks out, it's a clean car, let's say 200,000 Ks or less. This is what you're gonna expect. ZD30 models go from like 6.5 to 9K. All right, I personally sold my old orange nav we had a lot of upgrades for 7 grand. The YDs fetch a little bit more, 9 to 13, 12K, especially if the timing chain's been done and I've got receipts of it. The newer YDs, I think, came out double road timing chain. All right, so I think they fetch a bit more. So for a rough car, let's say it's got a few issues, you find a few leaks, a few rattles, you've got to take off a few grand, you know, for that. For example, a ZD can drop 4 to 6K to pay for one that's got like spaghetti bolognese. YD's around 6 to 9K. All right, so it's a good budget car to get into full driving, and they do go, and they are tough off road. If you do want an in-depth D22 sort of, you know, buyers, what am I trying to say? In depth, how they drive and everything like that, because I haven't really done much about D22s. But if you want that, I can give that to you. Let me know in the comment section down below. Hopefully this checklist helps you avoid a headache D22, a lemon, a spaghetti bolognese. If you want a full printable checklist, let me know. And yeah, if you want to see a D40 or R51 or a D23 buyer's guide, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my MP300 playlist.